Most days, pre-workouts are going to be the exciting product that most people want to hear about, but sometimes you find a product that really just changes your lifestyle and enhances your life, that it just doesn't matter if it's sexy for lifting or not. Tranquility from Glaxon was one of those. Now we all know that Glaxon doesn't do anything simple. Anything worth doing for Glaxon is worth overdoing, and Tranquility, their sleep aid, is no different. Now we were big fans of Sedative, their original sleep aid, for some time. They had to change the name because it was scaring the kids. But we kept telling them when we first started our business relationship with our sponsored content, we gotta work on Sedative, gotta work on Sedative, gotta work on Sedative. And by the time we finally convinced them that a sleep aid is exciting enough to do content on, they were going to be bringing season 2 with a new product, a new name, and it wasn't worth to do the breakdown at that point. Today I'm going to talk about Tranquility, and I'm mostly going to focus on it as a new product. We're not going to talk too much about the changes because we never initially did the content on Sedative. There are some interesting things in here that are going to be different if you've previously used Sedative, and I'm going to talk about those things, but outside of that one specific ingredient, really, we're going to talk about this as a new product. So strap in and let's go on Tranquility. So from the top here, we're going to be talking about the highest dose ingredient. Because the labels here are compliant, they go from top to bottom. And we're going to be talking about the 2-scoop dosage. As always, I talk about the full serving. I'm not going to be talking about half-ass servings, the half-ass doses. We're going to talk about the full 2 scoops, 1 serving dosages here. So first ingredient is going to be 5 grams of L-Glycine. Now the study dose of glycine starts at 3 grams. They went all the way to the 5 grams. I doubt you're going to have 5 grams of glycine almost anywhere else. So this is an awesome first ingredient to talk about. Now glycine is a non-essential amino acid, so you don't see it very often because your body can produce it on its own. It's found in stuff like meat and fish. Now, glycine is in some ways and related to muscle growth as an amino acid, which is a building block of protein, but it's really a lot more involved in the production of things like glutathione, creatine, and collagen. Now, it's very closely linked with improved sleep quality, as well as decreasing core temperature and increasing cognition. This is one of those ingredients that you're going to hear people say, I've never used this dosage, and that's pretty common when people look at the formula, and it's going to start off this formula on a pretty high note. Now, the second ingredient here is Astrolyte, which is a proprietary blend of electrolytes that Glaxon uses around their whole blend. Now, I'm sure you've heard, I'm not a big fan of proprietary blends. In this case, it's used as a bit more of a strategic way to produce an ingredient that can be used intra-brand, and we're going to be straight here for a second. One of the reasons that they're making this proprietary blend is they can blend it ahead of time and save costs on testing long term. When they put this into the product, they don't have to test for magnesium citrate, sodium chloride, fructose, oligosaccharides, or potassium citrate because it's pre-blended and it's being put there in as a full ingredient. Now this Astrolyte you will find standalone in some other products like Specimen. It's a pretty cool ingredient overall, and it's very helpful for hydration. Why are they using it in a sleep aid? Well, you're not getting any fluids in your body overnight. Some people also sweat a lot, like myself, during the night, and it can just be helpful to make sure that you are staying hydrated throughout the night. Hydration is really important when your muscles are a high percentage water, and glycogen includes a lot of water. So we're going to be making sure here that you are staying hydrated throughout the night. Now this is the only sleep aid that I know of that includes electrolytes, so that does differentiate a little bit from the competition. And not only that, they're also using some pretty nice versions of minerals in here, which is definitely nice to see in this industry where so many people use cheap ingredients. Now moving forward, we've got GABA next. You've got 750 milligrams. Now GABA is a neurotransmitter that has a bit of a depressive effect on the nervous system. It's produced in the brain and it is heavily involved in the sleep cycle of waking and going to sleep. Now it does this by decreasing beta waves and increasing alpha waves. Beta waves are the things that wake you up and alpha waves are the things that keep you to sleep. So that's obviously going to help get you down to sleep and keep you there for longer amounts of time, thus making you more rested when you wake up. Two things that I noticed also is that it helps decrease pain, which is an interesting claim. If you are sore and you're having a hard time sleeping because of that pain from training, this could be an interesting thing. But it also decreases stress. And you'll see a common theme through these ingredients is decreasing stress and cortisol, which is a nice addition to the actual sedating effect of Tranquility. Now the next ingredient here is a pretty stereotypical one for sleep aids. You got 200 milligrams of theanine. Now, if you are new to supplements, you may be asking, why are we putting an ingredient in here that is commonly found in pre-workouts? Now, theanine is something that's I think a little bit misunderstood. One of the reasons it's added to pre-workouts is to counter the effect of stimulants, which I think is a poor usage of it. But one of the better usages of it is alongside caffeine because it actually has a synergistic effect on focus. Now, once you remove the stimulants, you get a sedating effect from theanine, which is one of the reasons that people don't like it alongside stimulants because it's a bit of a back and forth. In this case, it's going to help not really sedate, but calm you and prepare you for sleep. It doesn't actually put you to sleep, but it will bring down your, your thoughts. It'll help calm you and get you ready for bed. It carries out these calming effects by increasing GABA in the brain as well as serotonin. A study published in the Alternative Medicine Reviews journal said that it can help decrease the time to sleep and also promote the restfulness from that sleep. Now, from here, we have a little bit of a change from Sedative. This is not the main one, but it is something that I want to note. They changed from their cholinase blend, which is their blend of different cholines, to just pure VitaCholine. So they've got 200 milligrams of VitaCholine. Now, this is one of the only sleep aids I see with choline, which is kind of funny. Joey did a whole video on why they've got choline in their sleep aid. If you want to learn more about that, I'd go there because Joey dives in really deep, and I don't want to spend too much time on one ingredient. But I do appreciate the fact that they switched to one full source of choline, and a pretty good source here as well. Now, it is choline bitartrate, which most people will see as a cheaper version of choline as opposed to phosphatidylcholine, alpha-GPC, CDP choline like acetylcholine. But this one here is a nicer version of choline bitartrate. It is VitaCholine, which is the L isomer of choline bitartrate, which makes it more bioavailable and usable for your body. I've used this example before. I like it. It's a big one that Joey's used. It's like, imagine that there are different versions of the same ingredients, just like you have different versions of the same hands. Your left hand and your right hand both have 5 fingers. They're shaped pretty similarly, but you have a left one and a right one. Now in this case, we have an L isomer, like your left hand, which is a lot closer to a left glove than your right hand would. Now you could definitely force your right hand into a left hand glove, but it wouldn't be very usable or comfortable. This is like putting your left hand in a left-handed glove. It's going to be a lot more comfortable and a lot more usable for the purpose you're using the glove for. In this case, you're creating acetylcholine in the body from choline bitartrate. Now this is something that is depleted from training very hard, or it's a neurotransmitter that your body will use in your brain, obviously. Now, those neurotransmitter effects is why it's commonly found in pre-workouts or nootropics often. So obviously after a long day of work or training or whatever it is that you do in your day-to-day life, that can be depleted. And in this case, you're going to be helping restore that with VitaCholine. Now, there's something else further in the formula that helps with that, but we'll get there when we get there. Now, an interesting new ingredient here that we have in Tranquility is going to be the Lactium, which is a casein decapeptide. Now, this is obviously a dairy-derived ingredient, as you can tell from Lactium or casein decapeptide. So if you do have a dairy allergy or if you're sensitive to these types of ingredients, you might want to stay away from this, although it is obviously very isolated, so you might not have a problem if you are just sensitive to dairy or lactose in general. Now, Lactium has a couple different benefits here. A big one is decreasing cortisol and stress. Now, obviously, one of the reasons that most of us don't sleep is from stress from our day-to-day lives, and this could help out a lot there. But it also obviously helps with actual sleep quality. Like I said before, we're adding GABA into this formula here, and Lactium helps with the activity of GABA within the body by bonding to its receptor. GABA being a neurotransmitter that increases feelings of restfulness and reduces feelings of anxiety. By making it work a little bit better, we can make that even more effective in the practice here of supplementing both at the same time. So, awesome addition here. Super happy with the way that these guys think about not just including ingredients that work, but also improving the way that they act within the body. So we're starting to get here into the smaller dosages, and we're talking about Fibraria Rasisa. I'm sorry, Joey, if I messed that one up. I don't say a lot of these things out loud until I get to the video. We got 40 milligrams of it here, and this might sound a little bit more familiar to you if I tell you what it is a source of. This is gonna be a source of L-THP. Now, this has a bunch of different benefits, and I'm gonna pause here to tell you guys that if you're interested in learning more about these ingredients, you can always go over to our blog and look up the blogs that Heather writes up. She's usually citing over 20 to 30 citations, so if you are a curious mind, it's a great place for you to go. I often use them as outlines for my videos, and I'm going to read a little bit about what she's got written here because it is pretty helpful. L-HTP is an anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, pain-relieving, sedative, and antiviral ingredient. A study published by the journal Biomolecules and Therapeutics found that L-HTP significantly reduced anxiety and depression-related symptoms in mice. Now, that second claim there is a bit of a drug claim, but as we're not sellers of it, I can talk a little bit more than Glaxon normally would. L-HTP seems to carry out its sleep-inducing effects by interacting with dopamine receptors. A study published by Psychopharmacology reports that the L-THP activates dopamine 1 receptors and inhibits dopamine 2 receptors. Overall, L-THP can help both your mind and body unwind after a long day. And that's what we're really looking for here. Tranquility is not a product that you take right before bed. You take it about 40 minutes out and you let it help you bring yourself down and prepare for sleep. It's not just a sleep aid and sedative to knock you out, ironically, since that used to be its name. It's something that's going to help with the experience at the end of the day. You can take it while you're watching a little bit of Netflix or reading a book and help drift off into your sleep. So after that ingredient, we have here one of the main differences between sedative and tranquility, something that a lot of people spoke about with sedative early on, and a clear indicator that Glaxon listens to the consumers and their changes for season 2. Here we have Melatonin XR. It's an extended release melatonin blend. It's dosed at 38 milligrams, but it's going to only be a 3% time released melatonin yield. So we're getting about 2 milligrams of actual melatonin here, which is time released over the night. One of the main issues with sedative was that, this is something I even experienced, was you would take it at night and then you would sleep a very short amount of time, wake up at like 5 or 6 a.m. You're totally rested and ready to take on the day, but we don't wake up at that time. So that wasn't really comfortable, and a lot of people were thankful for the addition of the XR. I've really been enjoying it. It's been helping me sleep until 8, 9 a.m. Over the weekend at the TNS Bash, I just came back from, a lot of people got to try it out, and they also experienced very similar experiences. So it's nice to hear that they're listening to the consumer and changing based on those effects and experiences. So moving into the last couple of ingredients here, we have a classic ingredient that's been recently talked a lot about with Glaxon, AstraGin from New Life Sciences, and an awesome ingredient, absorption ingredient, but also a intestinal inflammation ingredient. AstraGin is studied to help the absorption of a lot of different things like fatty acids, amino acids, different supplement ingredients, and in this case it can help with a bunch of the different ingredients in here and the absorption of them into your body. Overall, it actually decreases intestinal wall inflammation by 75%, which I'm always a proponent of because it's going to help with the absorption of a lot of different things, including your food as well. But in this case, we have a couple of different amino acids in here, a couple of different neurotransmitters in here that it could definitely help with and make them a little more effective. One of the reasons that you find Glaxon's products to be so strong is not just because they give you great dosages, but they also help with the absorption and the activity of them within the body. So nice to see New Liv's AstraGin in here. We're big fans of New Live, and this ingredient is definitely no exception to that thought process. So moving into the next, we've got celery here, which is a 98% standardization for apigenin. Now, celery is used for a lot of different things like heart health and different stuff. But here, apigenin is going to be used for specifically some things. It has a lot of other benefits as well. It can be in muscle builders and stuff like that. But here we're looking for sleep aid quality, obviously. Now, apigenin is actually specifically studied with insomnia patients, which is actually pretty helpful here because insomnia is obviously the lack of sleep. So it's not only going to help you sleep better, but it's also going to help with the daytime functioning of people with insomnia. So if you're a person that doesn't sleep very well, not only is it going to help you sleep better, but it's also going to help you combat the effects of not having slept, which is kind of an interesting thought because you probably should be using this pretty regularly, but it can also be helping with other parts of your day, which is obviously a holistic thought to a very specific product. Now here we have another branded ingredient that not a lot of people have talked about. I don't think we've even talked about it here or on the blog before. Venatron, which is a Rafuma extract. Now again, this is a spot where I'm going to use our outline for a lot of stuff. Venatron contains a 4% standardization of isoquercetin and hyperoside, which are bioactive constituents that help carry out some beneficial effects. Now, we've got a bunch of different stuff here, but specifically we're really looking at the fact that it relieves psychological stress, it improves sleep quality, increases mental focus, and improves symptoms of depression. Now, these are all things that can be related to sleep quality here. Obviously, the psychological stress, the sleep quality, and the mental focus are things that are in line with some other stuff. I thought the symptoms of depression were a little bit interesting, but obviously if you don't sleep very well, you're not going to be feeling very good. So added that in on the end there. Now, one randomized controlled study actually found that Venatron was effective at inducing deep sleep, which is something that we haven't talked a lot about in this video yet. The point where your body has its slowest brain waves is called the slow wave cycle or deep sleep. It's really crucial for restoration of a couple different psychological processes, including specifically what a lot of us are talking about here, physical recovery, as well as brain function, which is going to be important for a lot of different processes during your day, obviously. This also helps a lot with your learning and your memory portions of sleep. Sleep is when your body files different memories and thoughts into your actual long-term memory, so it's going to be important there. Now, we're moving into spirulina here, which is obviously a very popular superfood. It's one of the reasons that this is going to be so blue, and it's one of the reasons that companies can actually do natural blues now is spirulina. Now, the specific one here, this spirulina, is going to be a 25% phycocyanin standardization. We've got 25 milligrams of it, which is going to yield 6.25 milligrams of biologically active compound here. Now, we're not too sure of where the sleep quality comes from with this one, but it does have a lot of different anti-inflammatory properties. And so even if you're not getting any sleep quality stuff there, this is obviously just an overall healthy experience for most people. And sometimes Glaxon goes a lot more holistic with their products and adds in things that can help out with immunity, health, and obviously going with things that are helping with oxidative stress is going to help with all things performance related. So in this one, we're not really too sure where the sleep quality is, but this is not rare for Joey to put something in that is a little bit off the walls just for health purposes. Now, the last ingredient we have in here is toothed club moss, which is standardized to 1% Huperzine A. You're getting 5 milligrams of it here. And like I said before, we're talking about choline and acetylcholine production in the body. Huperzine A is something that helps inhibit acetylcholine esterase, which is an enzyme that breaks down acetylcholine in the body. Now, acetylcholine is not only used up by muscle-muscle connection, training, thinking, all that stuff. Also, there is this acetylcholine esterase in the body, which breaks down acetylcholine as well if you have too much of it. So this is going to help inhibit that enzyme and help keep that production of acetylcholine live in the body. So not only are we giving more choline, we're helping it stay in the body as acetylcholine even longer, which is, again, another thing that Joey does pretty often is not only help with the production of things, but lower the destruction of it as well. So overall, kind of a long formula, but as always with Glaxon, these videos run a little bit longer. When you want to learn how it works, well, you can either come to me or you can go to Joey. Joey's are usually a lot more complicated. I try to make it kind of digestible for you guys to understand as athletes where this is going to work into your lifestyle. So I hope that this was super beneficial. I am running up on the time limit pretty soon, so I'm going to make this real quick. We did get this for free from Glaxon. We do have a business relationship with Glaxon, but overall, these are guys that are adding so much to this industry, not only from great products, great sources of new ingredients that are not found elsewhere, but also incredible branding and incredible community and helping bridge the gap between awesome supplements that are hard to find and affordable solutions for your performance, mental aspects, your immunity, your health, your psychological health with things like Serenity. There's so much that is being offered by this company that's hard for us not to be biased towards them. They're awesome guys. They're working to improve this industry. And for that reason, yeah, maybe I am biased, but it's really hard to see a reason to hate these guys. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that this is beneficial and educational for you guys. As always, I appreciate making this far in the video. And as always, have a great day.
Welcome to PricePlow.